welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Layman's Law School, where three Southern gentlemen lawyers sit around and discuss the legal issues of the day, answer some of your questions about the law. Today I have with me, again, my esteemed colleagues, Reid Sanders and Shawn Merslack, and today we're going to be going over some of the Reddit forums. Ask Me Anything. I'm a lawyer. Questions that we have.
Anything?
Yeah, anything.
Okay.
I did cherry pick a little bit.
I'm an open book. I got nothing out.
Okay, well, good. That'll help here a lot.
I mean, you can ask me anything on the street,
Yeah.
in the courtroom, in here. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, so it's
In the courtroom, I'll give you an answer.
Well,
What is it that Vic has Vic Hawklaw.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you just give them an answer that you think is the best answer that makes sense and is
Sometimes that's
the
all
way
you got.
your morals
Sometimes
and views
that's all
see
you
it,
got.
and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
so
Well, as you get started, Chace, I'm going to not make this so ceremonious.
yeah, okay.
But I know I'm not. I mean,
My weekly torture.
So this is. I
I'm
will
looking
say
forward to it.
this is my most fun thing that I get to do during the work week.
Good.
Is as soon as the work week's over, I get to give a Bud Light to Chace, and he has to drink at least a little bit of it,
Yeah,
and he loves it so much.
I didn't know that. Sanders had a German origin.
It does
To the name,
100%. It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You enjoy inflicting pain
I
so
do.
much.
Well, just on the people I love,
Yes.
just
Oh, mother's milk.
mother's milk. It'll cure what ails you.
Well, surprisingly enough, when I started looking through some of the most Googled sort of questions lawyers get and stuff like that, and trying to go on Reddit and whatever, people are terribly concerned as to how much we get paid and whether or not we get laid because we're lawyers.
I'll answer
There's a
those
lot of
very
this.
quickly. Way less than you think, and way less than you think.
Speak for yourself. No, but I mean, I also see that this is. I saw that these questions, it seems, are people that are also considering going into the profession.
Gotcha.
So they want to know what's coming down the road, and whether or not.
I mean, I can understand
the debt's worth it.
A young person
Sure. Yeah.
maybe wanting to go into significant debt, going to law school, and thinking about how is this going to improve me financially in the future?
Yeah.
And how is it going to improve my sex life? I mean, I can understand those concerns.
Just for a young person.
Well, I would say the financial you have to do a risk analysis. I mean, you're giving up a crap ton of time and a crap ton of money to get the law degree, and you're not going to be coming out making what you think you're going to make. There is a crossover point where you may catch up and then exceed going to law school, but that's going to be in your 40s or 50s.
Sure.
You're going to be you're going to make a lot more, and because you have to pay a lot less and all that if you don't go to law school, at least until you're 40. I mean, that's at minimum.
Sure. I mean, the worst thing about it is, I mean, people that we looked up to as attorneys, your father, local people, here in Augusta that are right on the verge of retirement type thing. Those people went to law school and they paid like $6,000 to go to law school.
Different world.
They didn't, go into $150,000 in student loan debt to go to law school.
Yep.
So there's a lot of
debt.
makeup.
It's debt and time.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Time. Yep.
Yeah, I remember my property professor. He still had the receipt from his last year for tuition for the University of South Carolina in 1976.
Right.
$376 total.
Yeah.
That won't even get you a law textbook.
No,
Not even a used one. Highly used.
Granted, I mean, the dollar's inflated and all that. So, I mean, back then, that was a lot more, but it certainly, wages have certainly not increased the same amount that the price has increased.
Sure. And so, like, what people I think should know out there, though, that, like, if you're coming out of law school, you're going to get a public defender's job or a prosecutor's job like that. You're looking, depending on where you live, too, because it affects all that.
Oh,
you're looking at between $60,000 and $80,000 a year, I think.
If you're in a big city, that could be double that. It just depends on where you are. But
right.
Yeah.
If you're doing personal injury work, it varies quite a bit. We do the contingency fee arrangement for our fee. And what basically that means is that we earn a percentage of whatever we get for our client. So it incentivizes us, our clients, and I have the same interest to get as much for the client as possible, because that's how we make the profit. So personal injury lawyers typically make significantly more, $100,000, $150,000, $200,000. It would not be something out of the range for personal injury. Like, having said that, it is the most competitive. There's
a huge caveat in that, and that is, can you get the cases? And if, in my opinion, if you don't have some kind of core values that you set up, whether it be with yourself or your business partners, like we have, and we've talked about what we value as a company. You may make it one year and you may die the next. You have to have some integrity and some things that you can always go back to. And sometimes that doesn't make you money, but in the long run, if you do those things, it will.
Sure. And that, just to what Chace said, this isn't to say that someone who is new and gets out of law school
they're not making anything.
Yeah, goes into personal injury work and they're making 100 to. I mean, if you were to land a position at a personal injury law firm, as a new straight out of law school, you're still going to be,
you're a salaried employee,
salaried employee in that, $60,000, $70,000 range probably, and unless you're, in Atlanta market, it might be a little bit more than that. But most of the people, they're not hiring. And if you have no experience as a lawyer, you have no experience other than law school and writing.
True.
Most of the time if we were to hire someone, we would look for, some actual real world experience in the law.
Yeah. One of the questions they ask, and this kind of just rolls right into that, like I personally, I'll just disclose it. I have upwards of 180 plus thousand in student loan debt.
You were in school for a very long time. So, right. I mean, if you divide it by the number of years, it's not that bad, Chace.
That's right. That's right. I mean, honestly, I do have, 3 separate degrees and undergrad, and then I have the course of law school. I went to private law school, not public law school. So it was expensive, but I would say it's absolutely worth it if this is something that appeals to you. Originally, when I went into law school, I was like, hey, I don't like working, so I'm going to do whatever I can exchange my time for the most amount of money possible. And I was lucky.
I don't think that is real anymore in the lawyer world. It used to be in our father's time, but there's a lot more things you can do and make a lot more money.
Maybe.
Not maybe. You definitely can. But I'm saying that in my opinion, if you're going to take on this debt, this time commitment and all that, you better have something that, not necessarily the job, but a value that you want to do, something that you can always go back to, because if you don't, you're going to be unhappy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I was very lucky in that when I actually got into it, started studying it, I found it so mentally stimulating, right, that I really enjoyed it. And then it has only gotten better for me after I've gotten out into the world.
I've known you before that you went to law school, and you've always been very empathetic, and you really, truly love helping people, and this gives you that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, but that's, to me, is one of your core values. And like, if that wasn't an opportunity, so I don't see, you would be miserable being a corporate lawyer in a big building.
Sure.
I think, you would be awful, terrible. You'd be the worst.
Yeah.
But you're very, very good at what you do, because it's on that.
Something I'm interested in, something I like. Yep. Yeah, I would do this. I would do this for free if my needs were met.
Right.
I would choose to still do this type of work.
Sure.
I like solving the puzzles. But let's get into some more of these more interesting questions. Have you ever successfully defended someone that you knew was guilty?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But there's a definition of success that I think Shawn is about to go into.
Absolutely. I mean, what you have to think about is what our American legal system is found upon, and that is, number one, not violating people's rights. Number two, proving someone guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Sure.
But there's probably a lot more cases of, people's constitutional rights that were violated, even though they were,
caught with a bunch of drugs.
Ultimately, yeah. I mean, drug cases.
Yeah.
An illegal search is done, and a woman's purse with her ID in it, and she has drugs, contraband in her purse. You point that out to the prosecutor. The prosecutor either agrees and dismisses the case, or you end up filing a motion to suppress. The judge agrees with you. And that's, one of the things that makes our law enforcement better and protects everybody's, type rights. And then there's other cases. Obviously, sometimes there's cases that there is no benefit to a criminal defendant to pleading guilty.
Sure.
You might as well, if you plead guilty, you go to prison for the rest of your life. If you go to trial, even though, we as attorneys, our job is to objectively look at the evidence and advise our clients, based on what they tell us and what their defenses are, what their likelihood of success is.
Sure.
But sometimes when you tell them, hey, your likelihood of success is absolutely zero, it's like, well, what's the alternative?
Sure.
I might have a 0.001% chance, and Shawn, this is my defense. Okay.
Yeah.
And I tell clients all the time, I said, when I did criminal defense work, I don't care whether you're guilty or not.
Sure.
That doesn't matter to me whatsoever.
That's not your job.
My job in the legal system is to objectively look at the evidence, identify, even if a case isn't going to trial, if it went to trial, each piece of evidence, testimony that would be introduced, whether it would be helpful to you, harmful to you, not relevant, and based on knowledge, training, experience, make a determination of where you stand.
Right.
Whether that's you got a chance, whether or not that's we are going to either convince the prosecutor to dismiss this case, or we're going to trial and we're going to win,
Right.
or whether that's sorry, partner,
Yeah.
you're screwed.
Yeah.
And that's the objective advice we give. And only in the rarest of cases have I actually gone to, a jury trial with an individual that was, from an objective look at the evidence, probably going to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt by the jury. And I've explained that to them. A lot of cases where that was the case, I've been able to, convince the individual, that it's in their best interest to
plead.
enter a plea.
Right, and so that's still successfully defending someone that you
I
knew was guilty.
I was going to, and also success defined a little differently in that they may have been guilty of a misdemeanor and they were charged with a felony, and but you pled to
A misdemeanor.
the misdemeanor. That's successful. That is answering the question. You defended and you did it successfully because you got it a reduced charge, even though they are guilty. They weren't guilty of the felony. They were guilty of the misdemeanor. Right.
Oh, sure. And even in the most times I've seen it is in felony obstruction of a law enforcement officer. For some reason, at least in our area, anytime an officer is hurt, they'll charge an individual with felony obstruction. Even though felony obstruction requires the offender to be committing an act of violence.
Right.
Trying to punch the deputy, not just running away.
Yeah.
But, he ran away, and when I was jumping the fence to go after him, I sprained my knee. Oh, felony obstruction.
Right.
So, we've gotten many of those cases resolved in the appropriate fashion.
Right.
Because the person was, in fact, guilty of misdemeanor obstruction, failing to stop when the police officer told him to stop, running away, stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember specifically a case in which, Shawn, you helped to defend a gentleman along with Victor, and I think I was a law student at the time, and I remember thinking, this guy's guilty of something.
Sure.
But there are so many other things going on in that situation, and the prosecutors have just selected the wrong thing to charge this person with, where, it's not murder. This gentleman was reprimanding his daughter in front of his house, got into it with her, was arguing, and the next door neighbors thought that he was somehow talking to them. Then they called somebody he knew was involved in the drug trade and was a gangster. He went to his car immediately and got his gun out and put it on the trash can in front of everybody and said, I got a right to defend myself. This gentleman that approached him him and he had a couple guys get out of his car and kind of surround this guy in the dark, and basically started to threaten to do things to him. And then a argument ensued between the gentleman that showed up that was dangerous and one of the children that was inside the house, where our guy had the person we were representing had gone there to kind of talk to, and the offender, the victim, ultimately started to go into the house, and our guy just shot him. And then there was a bunch of shooting that went on after that, where he shot a couple other people. He was shot himself a number of times. Like, he was guilty of doing something in that particular situation, but they charged him with murder. And in that situation, in the dark, somebody you know's a gangster shows up, is much smaller than you,
and has a firearm that has a handgun with a magazine that sticks out.
Right.
Holds about 40 more rounds than a normal weapon should.
Right. And so in that situation, there's many times when a person can be guilty, but justice is ultimately done. I think that was what happened in that particular case. He had a guy was scared to death in the dark, surrounded by dangerous people, and then one of them tried to go into his house where his family was. Yeah. And he just and then he shot that guy, and all hell broke loose. And was he guilty of something? Probably.
Absolutely.
But should he have gone to jail in that situation?
Absolutely
not. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of nuance in the law, and luckily we have a lot of rules that help protect people in those types of situations. So, this is a deep one.
Well, let's do it.
Okay. All right. What is your spiritual life like as an attorney, and has being a lawyer affected it at all? And if so, how?
I mean, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but I mean, I don't think that me being an attorney. I thought you were
ready.
I am.
Okay.
I am.
Okay.
Open book.
I got it, baby. It's whatever. It's just a boring story, But, I don't. The law has not changed or affected my spiritual life in any way at all. It doesn't go against, or if anything, it certainly goes for what I believe in, and that's truth, justice, equal for everyone, and so it just I know some people probably have where it affects them, but for me, it's just kind of be what it kind of goes along with what I've always believed to be the truth.
I'm the same way. It hasn't affected me, to my knowledge at least,
Sure,
spiritually.
yeah.
I still have the same beliefs that I did, prior to law school, prior to, practicing law, and still, feel the exact same way, and still have the same relationship with my higher power.
Yeah.
That, and anything that I do, I think is a benefit, to society, and doing service to others. So
when you feel like you're doing the right thing, sometimes you're not right, but when you feel like you're doing the right thing and you're doing them because you believe that you're right, and that's what the law allows you to do, then I feel pretty good about where I stand on that.
Well, the best thing about being in private practice as an attorney, is that we have the ability to. You can't just walk in our office and us just automatically have to represent you.
Yeah.
If you just walked into our office and had this, horribly unethical thing that you wanted to do, or morally, wrong thing, or something that was 100% repugnant or distasteful to us individually.
And it might make us a bunch of money.
We don't take it. Even if it made you a bunch of money, we would say, sorry, partner, that's not our cup of tea. We don't want to support that or be involved in that, but good luck finding another lawyer that does.
Yeah, and there'll be one out there.
Absolutely.
But for us, it hasn't.
Well, I went into law school a devout Muslim, and I came out.
No way this is true. There's no way this is true.
No. If anything, it's strengthened my...
I'm about to say, I've seen the guy eat a barbecue sandwich.
Prior
to law school.
Yeah.
No, if anything, it's strengthened my faith in human beings.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and...
We see a lot of the bad, but you see a lot of the good, too.
Yeah, and so, I appreciate what's come down before me. I just sort of see some of the rules that have been put in place that a lot of people overlook or don't understand.
Or just may not know about.
Right, and we talk about, why it's okay for you morally to come in and take a person that's done something that the law has considered terrible and morally might be terrible, and still put on a very, very, strong and stringent defense for that person. And it's because of a dedication to a recognition of the fact that in order to have a functioning society, we have to have a justice system that people view as being just. And if you have a state actor that has a lot of power that just runs ramshot over its citizens and does not do justice in situations, then people just won't believe in that. And that's when the deterioration of institutions in our country is the thing that's worried me the most over the past 5 to 10 years. But I do believe that the justice system is kind of still holding strong. We have rules that have been in place for hundreds of years. And stand the test of time.
It might be slow as molasses,
right.
but I agree with you that it's holding strong.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's see. Let's go into
what we got. What we got, baby? Rapid fire.
Rapid fire is: have you ever gotten laid because of your job?
I mean, I'm gonna go absolutely not. For me, I mean, I've been married for a long time, so I mean, I'm pretty sure that Kate doesn't give a shit about what I'm doing. So for me, that's a hard no.
I don't know. Obviously, I've been with Emily while I was in law school and since law school, but you never know.
You never know.
Does sometimes she look at me and say that,
man, look at that sexy lawyer.
He is a sexy trial attorney. Maybe it happens. She's never explained that to me.
She never said that out loud, but it's a possibility.
It's a possibility, and I keep it in the back of my head as it might be happening.
Might be so.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Shawn, I imagine for you it's kind of hard in that you've always had the natural sort of sexual charisma of like
it's a magnetism. It's a magnetism.
A young,
it's hard to filter them all out.
Yeah, Tom Selleck, or hairless Tom Selleck over there.
It's like if somebody calls us, like, how did you hear about us? Well, it might have been on a commercial or a podcast or TV. We can't see exactly which one. He's got so many boxes checked.
Right. If you're not interested in the law, okay. Then I would advise you not to go into it just because you think it will get you laid. You can buy it's like the only way I would say that it's ever happened to me is just because Whitney likes how I look in a suit. Yeah. If I wear the right thing, you get a little twinkle in the eye.
You can just buy a suit.
Buy a suit. But you don't need to get the $100,000 in student loan to do all that. So skip that. Let's see here. What do you do once you sort of unplug from doing the sort of day-to-day legal stuff?
Compartmentalize is the best advice I would give anybody who's going to be a lawyer is if you let it creep into every aspect of your life, you're going to be miserable. You're never going to be able to relax. And so I work very hard, and when I'm not working, I do not work at all. So if I'm off, I'm off. I'm not working. And other people do it differently, but this is just how I do it. So when I'm working and there's family stuff, I'm working. I'm sorry. But vice versa, I put them into boxes I'd say what I do when I'm unplugged is I'm just a lazy POS. I mean, I like to sit around, watch TV,
watch sports,
hang with my boys.
Same thing everybody else does.
Yeah, nothing special.
There's about 11 months of the year that Reid will be watching the Atlanta Braves.
That's exactly true. That's true. I was actually reading on it today. I mean, it's just that's mine. Shawnee's is golf.
I would say, I mean, I don't necessarily. I would say that I am probably the best compartmentalizer ever in terms of emotions and work. It doesn't mean that I don't. We have I have a little.
You don't take it home with you.
Yeah, I have a little bit different schedule. So I mean, I do a lot of emailing when I wake up before I've even left the house. Sometimes before my child is even up, and I do a lot of email and reviewing cases and planning after my child and my wife are already in bed.
Right.
But that's because I don't go to bed at the same time.
Right.
I mean, my wife goes to work really early and she gets up. She goes to bed sometimes at 8:15, 8:30, and I'm just getting done with dinner and wound up. So I'll watch some TV and go through things. But as far as hobbies, golf, watching football with friends, things like that. But as far as the emotional type things of it, I pretty much probably anybody who's ever met me would say, and maybe it's sometimes to a fault, when I go home, I have no emotion as if I had a crappy day at work. I don't come home and my wife realized that I had a crappy day at work. Yeah. Or if, when I was in law enforcement, if I, went to where a murder-suicide scene where there was,
you got to leave it at, you got to leave it. Yeah.
I came home and people would always ask, well, how could you go to that? How?
Yeah.
Well, regardless of whether I was there, this stuff is happening out in
Life's
the world.
Happening right now.
And I refuse to just think to myself, well, since I never saw it, it's not happening. So I don't know. I've just, I think I've been pretty decent at being able to just say, hey, this is life, and it's not part of my life that's at my house, and not having to deal with it.
Well, I deal with things a little differently. I'm not quite as good as good at compartmentalizing, I would say, but I do find a way to vent. And I recommend this to anybody out there.
Your wife is a therapist. That's what you're supposed to do.
Look here. I married.
Why you married her?
Exactly. I did a cost benefit analysis of actually, when I
having
was
a therapist versus marrying one.
Exactly. I was trying to save money a little bit. Didn't help. She's, hurt that she's good looking and everything. But I don't do it as much as I used to. But it is, and I would recommend this to anybody. There is an MMA gym near you. Okay, there's nothing like at the end of a long day.
Getting the shit beat out of you.
Well, that's just it. You do it long enough, you're the one handing it out. So just you get to exact some of that frustration. There's an agreement between you and the other person. It's like, hey, this is our time. We can swing as hard as we want, and you get some little bit of frustration out, and you still shake their hand, and everything's good at the end of the day.
To pull that full circle for Chace, he's been out of it a little bit, and he told me, I don't know, what was it, 2-3 months ago. He was getting back into it, and he's like, man, we went in the first day, he just whipped this guy. The next day, that joker's got a damn broke foot. Hobbling around. I'm like, you're too old for this shit, Chace.
Maybe, but it's just, it is very therapeutic. It's a lot of fun.
And you also make knives.
I do have some other creative outlets, but I will say
artist as well.
Let me tell you, he took a bunch of my knives.
Yeah,
almost left me knifeless in the house. Just when he was over there
cooking knives. Yeah, cooking knife. Yeah,
I did buy you one.
He did buy me one. He brought me one and took like 15. Yeah, but the 15 that came back, oh my gosh, razor sharp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's good.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I could help you with that. But what I think is important for people to know, or for people that are actually thinking about practicing and being a lawyer, though, is that there's a necessary time to, like you say, compartmentalize.
Yeah, you got to shut it off.
You must shut it off because you do get invested in the lives of the people that you represent, and it can burn you out, and that you are actually being less effective at what you do. Then I just recognize it during there's a lot of questions about how much we work a day and all that. And here I will, in times where it's like real crucial to do a lot of work, there's a time period when I recognize, okay, I've read the same thing a couple of times, and I've had and I'm writing something, and I've repeated myself 2 or 3 times, and my brain isn't functioning where it needs to be functioning in order to do this work.
Time for a break.
And time for so you do. There is a learning curve as to recognizing that, but I have recognized that it is super, super important to do that just so you can be sharp.
And on top of that, and I think y'all would all agree, I think all attorneys would agree, you realize that there is no end. So even at the end of a case, there's another case.
Right behind it.
And usually you're working on multiple cases at one time anyway. So if you don't set a break for yourself, the work is never going to set a break for you. It's not like, hey, we finished, we get to go, take a break. No, the work's still there. So you have to set, you cannot get everything done every day. You just can't. You have to get to a point and you go, I have to stop today, move on to the next one.
Sure. And that's what, one of the things I love about the law, and one of the things I hate about the law.
Yeah, it's both ways.
So much of it is intellectual. So, when you think about, how many hours do you work? Well, it's not that we walk into a factory, punch the time clock, sit there and make widgets. and then we leave, and then we're done. We're business owners. We have multiple cases with multiple different legal issues. And yes, when you are, sitting watching television, you might be sitting there thinking about, well, how am I going to address, this particular issue in this case? Or even in the back of your mind, I've got a hearing tomorrow. I've already, researched all the matters. I've, just thinking in your mind. So, I mean, is that work? I mean, somewhat.
And it's like my dad, lawyer for 50 years or whatever it is now, but he would always say, I mean, it's similar to that is because of the type of work, you can always do one more thing in the law.
Oh, yeah.
So even if it's perfect, no, it's not. You can still do one more thing. And so if you just let that eat at you forever, you're not gonna make it.
No.
Yeah, there's a quote by Voltaire.
A vulture?
Voltaire. He's a French philosopher and author. But I have it like actually printed and on my door, and it says that perfect is the enemy of good. And what he means by that is like if you can focus all day on being perfect, and you'll never get what you're trying to get.
There's always one more thing.
Yeah.
There's always.
And that has been a difficult thing for me to kind of go through.
I would say that would be my hardest obstacle I've faced in the law is that.
Yeah, because you care about what happens, and like you said, there's you can always do one more thing. I think we're coming up on on the end here, but
let's get one
more
one.
good,
Let's get a good
question.
juicy one.
We got a
Chace.
good
Come
one.
on,
I'll give you two. Okay, we got options. Do we want to go with what's the worst case you've ever won, or do we want to go with what's the deal behind all the legalese language used?
Man, those are terrible.
Both of them bad.
How about this?
Can we take answer C?
How about this?
What is it?
How about this? What does it take to make it big as a lawyer, both in general and specifically within your firm's specialty?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
First of all, what does make it big?
That's true. Very true.
Well, the student loans still aren't paid off, so I guess I haven't made it that big.
Right.
But I would say, you have to have a passion for what you do. You have to have, the knowledge, to be good at the specialty that you're practicing in. And you have to, not be afraid to work.
Yeah.
I mean, we, as the people who are Layman's Law School watchers or viewers, we work hard and we like to play hard. Unfortunately, at this point in our life, we have to work a lot more
than
we get to play hard. But if you want a job that is just as a lawyer that's 9 to 5, get a government job. Be a prosecutor, be a public defender, get a job with a nonprofit. Those jobs would probably be more suited for someone that is just task oriented. This is what I got to accomplish today, and at 5 o'clock I go home. The next day it starts over. I start. If you want to be effective and have a personal injury practice, wrongful death practice, serious injury practice that makes a big difference in people's life, you have to be not only have the knowledge, experience, and continuous training, but you have to have the work ethic to know when it's time to play and know when it's time to work and know when it's time to work more.
Yeah.
Chace, what you think, buddy?
I think that a good measure would actually, for me, be when lawyers that you trust and know that are good lawyers come to you to handle cases that they've taken in.
Sure. Right?
Where you have worked hard enough to become an authority in a particular area, whether it's nursing home negligence or handling claims against the government or whatever, where when you are seen amongst your peers as an expert in a particular area of the law, and that's pretty much what a lot of the stuff is moving towards, because there is a lot of minutia in the law, and it's like the same thing in health. You can be a doctor, but are you a cardiologist? Are you
the general practitioner and the general doctor and all that stuff is
Great.
the way of the dodo, essentially. I mean, it's very, even, I have a general practitioner, but if something's wrong with me, they're going to send me to a specialist.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just, it used to not be that way, and that's the way it is in the law, too.
Yeah, and so like I said, when you get to that level to where senior lawyers that are actually coming to you to handle cases that they have taken in, that could be all theirs,
Right.
if they wanted the whole fee, right? But they see you as a source that can that they recognize that you have the expertise to handle it better than them, and they're more interested in having you do that than in taking care of their client than making making all the money from the case. Then you have successfully established yourself in a niche that is going to be lucrative for a very, very long time.
So that I mean, I agree with both of you. That kind of answered a little bit, Chace, on what it means, to make it, essentially, and you're talking about how to get there. The only thing I would add, and I think y'all both would agree, is that you have to figure out what you are good at personally, whether it's talking to people, whether it's writing briefs, whatever it is. If you are a wizard with the language of writing, but you have to be truthful with yourself and say, you know what, I'm not great at this part. I can get better, but I'm really, really, really good at this over here. And let that kind of guide you in where you're going as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you could be the greatest trial lawyer ever and have the most knowledge in personal injury law and negligence. And if you don't have some type of people skills,
right,
you're rarely going to get a client.
Yep.
You have to meet with clients. You have to explain to them the process. You have to be personable in order to get those people to agree that you're the best person to represent them. So,
and you have, like I say, you have to look at yourself and say, look, I'm not great at this part. You have to be honest with yourself. Sure. If you're going to make it, and the question is make it big as a lawyer in our firm and other firms, and generally, I agree with everything y'all said, but I also agree, I think you have to be honest with yourself and have a lot of self-evaluation of what you've done, what you can do, what you're good at, what you're not, what you need to work on, that kind of thing.
Seek continuous improvement.
Yep.
Yeah. The last one is, I'd be interested if either of you know this, okay? But this apparently comes up
big time.
We know everything.
We know everything.
All right.
Of course
Why
we
do English lawyers and judges wear wigs?
God, I didn't know
Why are
this
they
in law
asking
school.
Americans?
Because they don't have the bald head that's
They don't have the
good looking as this guy.
confidence.
They don't have the confidence to rock it.
Essentially, they don't have the confidence. I mean, it's part of their get up. That's all I
would
can tell
say
you.
that it
An educated guess?
they're just very.
I have no educated guess.
That they come from a much more royal time and a
Pompous.
snooty, pompous,
Yeah.
like the king wearing a crown type thing.
Yeah.
I'm the powerful
Showing
figure in this room,
prestige.
therefore I wear
Because
this
we've
wig.
taken some of that with, we have robes for the judges and stuff to show kind of the who's in charge and that kind of thing. That would be my guess.
That's right. Okay, so that is
Signify it.
It is a signifier. It's why doctors wear white robes. It's why judges wear black robes. It's why the judge sits up on an elevated seat in a courtroom, and it's there to signify to the public and be a symbol of the fact that what's going on is a formal thing and it's something that is supposed to be given a certain level of respect and reverence. And it's just a holdover of the legal history in England that they do this, and it would be the same as us walking to a courtroom without a tie.
Well, it would like
we would be given a hard time. We wouldn't be able to pull that off.
I worked today. Obviously, I did not go to court today.
No.
I mean, I had on like this would not be allowed.
I was in two different courtrooms today.
Well, you changed,
but I did change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But you looked professional earlier.
Yeah, and so it started in the 17th century, and it's just basically a holdover from that, but it's supposed to be just another way to show that where you're at is a kind of a hallowed place for the culture and for the institution of the law in that area. And they're quite expensive. It costs about $3,000 for those ugly things.
I mean, Shawn
checked
on it
if they
earlier.
made a rule that we had to wear wigs in the state of Georgia, Supreme Court of Georgia came down with that rule.
Right.
If they weren't $3,000, I would probably give it a try.
Listen, I've been to
that's the rule.
I think you look great.
I'm gonna rock this mullet
I have been
wig.
to the hair store with Tiana. I think we could pull it off. I'm just saying.
Okay.
All right. Well, the next time we'll all be wearing the wigs for the next year. So tune in for that next time on the Layman's Law School. Thank y'all very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.